Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy. The Matt Murphy Radio Show continues. Happy to have you with us. The chair of the NES board, Ann Davis, has indicated through an email that she has, quote-unquote, confidence in the Nashville Electric Service leadership as outages continue to linger into day 11. Quote, "We have confidence in our leadership team at NES, and right now everyone is working on getting power back to all of our customers. As far as whether the storm response could have been done differently or better, that's something we'll be looking at after this crisis is over." That, according to Karen Aguilar from Fox 17 locally here in Nashville. To talk about this and other matters, we are joined by our good friend Cameron Smith of the Tennessean. He comes in on these Wednesdays, and we always appreciate his presence and his acumen on the subject matter at hand. Hello, Cameron.
Acumen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good word.
Thank you.
Hi.
I learned it from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. Hannibal Lecter had a way with words.
Yeah, Hannibal told Clarice Starling to thrill us with your acumen.
That's
like,
kinda
okie
scary.
dokie. Yeah, it is
scary
kinda
when you
scary.
say that.
Oh, I mean, I can do the whole scene for you if you want me to. So before I get to Leroy and Alan, they've been holding for a long time wanting to talk about NES. I feel like we were talking about this last week this time, Cameron. And we're still here. Many people have had power restored to them. Now is the time to kind of start looking back. I feel like it's time that we started looking at the performance levels prior to the storm, during the storm, and now after the storm. And I've not talked to a single – I asked the question of Jack Johnson. I asked the question of Courtney Johnston. I asked the question of Marsha Blackburn. I asked Andy Ogles. I've asked every political figure I've asked that has been willing to come on has answered in the same way, that there's no way that the CEO of Nashville Electric Service should or will survive this incompetency. What say you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can argue with you if you want, but it's been really not
really
great.
Bad.
I mean, look, let's just assume, and this is a dangerous thing to do, assume that what they did was reasonable. Like their prep, their everything. Dangerous assumption. Don't think it's true. But let's just assume that. The communication was so abysmal that the communication alone is a reason that they should clean house. Like, I'm fine with the Tennessee legislature engaging on this one and being like, no, you're not staying, because that's dangerous when you can't even tell people really what's going on or why.
What's even more dangerous, it's my understanding that instead of hiring a forward or outward-looking communications team, instead of hiring a team that would say, okay, this is how we're going to coordinate our press conferences from now on, this is how we're going to communicate with the general public, these are how we're going to do our press releases, and this is the person that needs to be up front, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. They've hired an inwardly looking crisis management team that is designed to protect them.
Well, they got to answer questions like, what are the pronouns of a tree in the right-of-way? And that takes time and energy and resources, man.
I was trying to think of what a pronoun for a tree in the right-of-way would be. Oak, boak? I don't know.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And the level
Pine mine.
Communication alone is
well, we were discussing
terrible.
we even before we understood, this was a week ago. You were the first to say it, that even before we understood the totality of the significance of the poor decision making, and now we understand that instead of owning some of those decisions, they've decided to lie about them. Mm-hmm. But even last week, you were like, where is the communication? Why are people not speaking forwardly more about this? Why are they just not giving information to the people? That goes a long way in calming down a lot of the emotions that people are still feeling a week later.
Yeah, and I love training people to do this stuff, to talk. I mean, this is stuff that anybody who's public facing should know how to do. You get out there, and when you don't know what's going on, you pivot and say, you know what, I'll get back to you. You stand there, you take the slings and arrows of the public, because they have to know that you know that they're going through it. And if you're not willing to take the heat.
Did you see the disastrous press conference yesterday?
I read some of the
Well,
quotes.
here's what you can't do. You can't go back and look at it now because after posting it on their YouTube page, they pulled it. They made it private.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It was that bad.
Oh, yeah. It was awful. It was just awful. And not a syllable of apology to the customers, which is just infuriating. Just come out and say, I'm sorry for the mistakes that we have made. Obviously, we have made mistakes. And then you can go on and on about the unprecedented nature of the storm or whatever. But you apologize for mistakes made. Nothing. No, it's like some lawyer got in her ear right before she went on stage and said, don't apologize for anything because it might open the door on a lawsuit.
Yeah. And my take on this is you need to take the heat, literally. The only heat they took was from the power being out. Other than that, they've been hiding. And you can't do that. You gotta take the shots and say, I hear you, and then communicate.
Well, they're not communicating, and they're not hearing people either. We're hearing Leroy. Leroy, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I just wanted to say that my power came on this morning over here in Belle Meade on Alton Drive, and we've got power lines that run in the alleyway, and we've got power lines that run on the front. So my question is this, we've got a lot of white oak trees, which commonly get to 85 feet, red oak trees that commonly get to 70 feet. We've got the state tree of the state of Tennessee, the poplar, the tulip poplar down here that gets to 180 feet commonly. If you're going to, everybody's talking about the pruning. Be careful what you're asking for, because now they're going to write it up to where they can come 70 feet into my property to cut an 85-foot hardwood tree. If you do that in my front yard and you do that in my alleyway, you're going to take all my trees for a storm that's only going to come in every 80 years. I would rather not have my power for 10 days every 80 years than for the municipality to come in and clear my lot and take all my gorgeous trees.
Okay.
Seems fair.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Leroy, what? All right, Leroy left. Leroy, I wasn't trying to be flip. I wasn't denying you your position on the issue.
Yeah.
You also, through hard work and through your own dedication to whatever career that you've decided to undertake, if you live in Belle Meade, then you have an ability to do things prior to the storm that others do not have the ability to do to protect yourself and your family through your own personal resources. I don't begrudge you those resources. I don't begrudge you those abilities. I'm glad that you have them. But we also recognize that not everybody has those abilities. And I understand that Belle Meade doesn't want people in there cutting the trees. I've heard that over and over again. So I wasn't trying to be flip with you when I said that. I've heard that Belle Meade has been very protective of their canopy.
Yeah.
And
I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
My take on it is it's 2026. We can figure this stuff out, folks. Like, we can come up with mitigation strategies and things like that so that this does not happen.
My thing, and what I was going to say before you hung up, Leroy, which, once again, I wasn't trying to be flip with your position. Your position is your opinion.
It's a fair take.
It's a fair take. What I was going to say is that's fine. I've even said I don't have so much a problem with Teresa Broyles Applin's position on canopy. But if you take that position on canopy and 10 days before this storm comes in, we're told that an ice storm is possible, and 5 days before this storm rolls in, we're told that there's a possibility of a quarter to a half inch of ice accumulation. And 4 days before the storm comes in, I have Dan Thomas talking to me about freezing rain and how dramatic that is and how bad that can be and how that's going to bring trees down. All right, so now you're Teresa Broyles Applin, and you know what your position is on canopy, and you know what the people of Belle Meade have told you they want on canopy. Then you know that you need more linemen in place.
Yeah.
Don't you? You know that this storm is coming and it's a 25-year storm and that you have to get people in place. You know how many people were in place? 160.
Right.
Charlotte, North Carolina had 18,000. Atlanta, Georgia had 10,000. These are not made-up figures. They had 10,000 linemen in Atlanta, Georgia. We had 160 in Nashville. So you can do one, but you can't do both of those two things.
You should tell people ahead of time. We have prioritized the canopy to keep our city beautiful, and that means that these trees, some of them are going to come down. They're going to take out lines all over the place. It's going to be a mess. We're letting you know. We need to, if you have a health issue or something like that, let us know so we can help make sure that you maintain power so that we can be safe.
Right. We made these decisions for the benefit of our community. We made these decisions because the people of our community spoke loud and clear, yes, and they said that's what they wanted. But here's the reality, and that takes a communications team.
Yeah.
That they didn't have.
At all.
Alan will get, let's get Alan right now. Hey, Alan, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling.
So, I work in the industry, the public power industry, and I follow 99.7, and I understand that it's a option or opinion-driven radio station. But my concern is over the week, the past 2 weeks, really, and also the last week more specifically, is I believe NES is getting a raw end of the deal on some of this because people aren't doing their research and understand how the industry works. Like I hear some of your guests, and they don't know who has oversight of the NES board, things like that. But I think you have to step back and understand public power as a whole. And in the TVA region, which covers 7 states, there are 153 local power companies. 60 of those in Tennessee are municipality-owned power companies. So sometimes there's a little difference, but the city council, board of mayor and aldermen appoint the power board, the board that oversees the power companies.
Yeah, what do they do?
The power board?
Mm-hmm.
They do similar to any board of any company. They set the vision, they set policy, rates.
The vision is the power stays on.
Well, absolutely it's the vision, but there's more that goes into the vision than the power stays on. You got to have rate discussions, policy discussions, all that stuff.
So they decided to cut the tree trimming budget, for example.
Well, I'm not speaking for NES, or I don't really have an opinion. I don't know what their board did. Or
well, you're accusing us of doing something wrong, though, Alan. I'm curious, what are we doing wrong then?
Well, not necessarily wrong, but have you reached out to anyone that's in the industry?
Yes.
To get some of these answers?
Yes. Yes.
And you can't get the answers?
I can't get a single person employed by NES to come on this radio show. Not a single person.
Well, when I say industry, I mean public power as a whole that would have some more knowledge on some of the questions that you were asking. Not just you, but Dan Mandis and others that are asking on air and on the Facebook page that are not that difficult of questions for someone that's in the industry.
Like what? For example, what kind of questions do you think we need to get answers from others in the industry? Well,
what's a question that you have about providing the power to the city and the surrounding area?
No. My questions are specific to NES because this did not occur with any other electrical company. There's not another electrical company that you can name that experienced.
That's inaccurate.
Well, excuse me, Alan. Then tell me the company that experienced the level of outages that NES experienced and the level of at least perceived inadequacy in response to those outages. What company?
Sure. Now, when you say level of outages, you have to understand that NES has close to 500,000 customers.
So does MTE.
Okay, and I'm not speaking for MTE either, but the ice storm hit the western part of their system.
Yeah. Now, see, it starts sounding like excuse making because now it's not. This only happened with NES, and you're saying it's because.
No, it didn't. If you look in Mississippi right now, they still
I'm talking
have
about in Central. I'm talking about in Tennessee.
Well, Mississippi, the northern part of Mississippi is covered by the same.
I'm talking about in Middle Tennessee, Alan. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm just talking about in Middle Tennessee. Is there another electrical company that experienced this level of inadequacy?
Well, I'm not stating that NES has had any inadequacies or that they haven't. What I'm saying is a devastating ice storm of that magnitude, it can take multiple weeks to restore the power.
But it didn't for MTE, and it didn't for Dixon, and it didn't for Columbia, and it didn't for Cumberland, and it did. I mean, you want me to go on?
Well, you don't have to go on because I understand that. But they did not experience the devastation that Nashville did.
Okay, so so the devastation only affected NES customers. So it targeted. I mean, what, Alan?
Well, let me ask a question because of your experience.
Yep.
Do you think NES's response is adequate? You're an experienced individual who understands the industry. Do you think that their response to this event has been adequate?
Well, I don't know the internal workings of NES, but I know that they have.
No,
it's just a question.
It doesn't matter whether you know the internal workings or not. It's based on your knowledge of the industry. Has the response by NES been adequate?
Well, they've got back on. They've restored power to 200,000 plus customers in less than 2 weeks. They have probably 800 plus broken poles, conductor down, trees everywhere. So from the outside looking in, I would say that the response to that massive amount of damages and outages is not unheard of. As I was stating, and you kind of interrupted, Mississippi had extreme damage. They are still working to restore the power there. You can't, if it's like a tornado comes through, it doesn't hit the entire state. This hit mainly the most devastating parts of this storm were in Nashville and the surrounding areas of Nashville.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not speaking to, communication or any of that. I just wanted you guys to have some of the facts around the public power model and how it is managed. It's very special that the public power model, local governance, and that's what you want, and that's what you have in Nashville. You have local governments over your utility, the municipality. If you get out of the 7-state territory, a lot of people aren't fortunate to have that.
So if you understand the public power model better than I do, tell me who has firing authority for the CEO that is an elected official. No elected official has firing authority.
I will say that the public power companies that I'm familiar with.
By the way, what are those, Alan?
The 153 of the local power companies that TVA provides power to.
Who do you work for?
I work for a local utility in Middle Tennessee.
Who is that?
Oklahoma Utilities.
Okay.
So the question was, who has the firing authority? Mm-hmm. That is the board.
What elected official has firing authority?
No elected official. The board, the city council appoints that board.
Well, the mayor appoints the board, and the Metro Council signs off on it.
Sure, in Nashville, that's how it works. From what I hear on your station, but
I want you to finish up. I've only got about 30 seconds. I'm way behind time, but I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying the reasons for my call is to help you more understand how public power works and what the benefit is to Nashville and the entire valley.
If I have presented myself as someone that is anti-public power, then I apologize.
Okay. Well, and like I said, I'm a longtime listener of 99.7, but, the flames just keep growing and growing on this situation that Nashville's dealing with. And I just hate to see that. It's not, like I said, you can look just to Mississippi.
Did you see the press conference yesterday?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I've got to run. Thank you, Alan, for the telephone call. Thank you for the perspective. I'm insanely late. It is 29 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Kathy writes in and says, hate to say it, I kind of agree with this guy. In 1994, I was without power for 3 weeks. Takes time to restore that much power. I think we just live in an instant gratification society. They want it, and they want it now. I understand that position. Matt Murphy, Cameron Smith in with us, 41 after the hour. By the way, I should note that in terms of individual linemen, I give all kudos to those linemen, those workers. When they are assigned a task, sadly, what we've learned is that the management fails to give them adequate assignments. And so oftentimes what I've been told is that they find themselves doing nothing until they get to the next assignment, and they are reprimanded if they try to do anything on their own. And you heard a little bit of that at the press conference yesterday where Teresa Broyles-Applin was kind of chiding the workers that they are not supposed to go to houses that put homemade signs out in front of their yards begging the linemen to come to their houses. But those linemen do great work, and obviously we wish we had more of them on the front end. Kathy, what I would say on the 1994 question, I was not here, obviously. I've been without power in the past. I was without power for 10 days during an ice storm in Birmingham, Alabama. I understand what it's like. I understand that it's very frustrating. And on the front end of this, I was defensive of those that were out and about trying to get the power back on by saying, listen, you've got to do for yourself and you got to understand that these things happen. But the more you learn, the more you know. And what we found out was that there was precious little pre-planning. There was precious little staging prior to this event. And one would think that the 1994 storm should have informed Nashville Electric Service how to do things better and more adequately, not this week, but last year and the year before last. And apparently, from everything that I've heard, they lost their way. Jackson, do you have a question or a comment?
It was unprecedented, Matt.
Oh, that's true. We were told with good authority that it was unprecedented, Cameron.
Yeah, this whole thing is dumb. I mean, all you had to do was be honest, communicate with the people that were in a bad ice storm, and you didn't do it. So I understand there's a lot of trees down. You can literally drive a car around or a truck and see all the trees that are down. That is not the problem. The problem is, did you prepare appropriately ahead of time, and did you communicate as this was unfolding?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, as it seems, no and no. And so there has to be some accountability for that to say, well, it was a bad storm. I agree.
Well, outages in NES area were 9 times those over at MTE. Okay. Why? Is it, was Mount Juliet less affected than, Belmead? Was the ice, I hear people saying, the ice impacted NES more greatly than any other area. I don't believe that. One. I do believe that the ice had a greater impact on the trees because apparently NES had a different tree cutting policy than MTE. Well, that's fine too, but communicate that on the front end.
Yeah.
Explain to that. We can disagree on your tree trimming policy, but it's your tree trimming policy, and that's fine. But you have to be aware, if that's your policy, what the dangers are with that policy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, the idea that you, and I'll say to all your listeners, I was here last Wednesday when you had a scheduled NES rep to come on and talk. And they had meetings that came up that...
And they called us 2 minutes before the scheduled time to talk.
I was here when that happened. And the fact that we're still having the conversation tells you that I actually don't care about the underlying issue with tree policy or how long was the power out or where did the storm hit. Like, I get all that. That's okay. The fact that you did not talk to people when you had the opportunity and you did not say, hey, this is more severe than we thought. It is really impacting this area. What can we do to help? We are out there. The linemen are busting it. Because they have specific priorities that they have to tackle, they can't come to your house specifically. It won't help you. Like, there are plenty of things that could have happened that did not happen. That is the problem. And so I think what you're going to see is NES trying to say, well, it's unprecedented. Look over there.
Did Alan say he worked at Tullahoma?
Mm-hmm. He did.
I wonder if he's Alan Potter, the president and CEO of Tullahoma Utilities.
I mean, there could be more Allens at Tullahoma, but that would be kind of funny.
That'd be funny if that was Alan.
That would be really funny.
Hey, Alan, if that was you, just let us know, bro. It's okay. I mean, you can come at that on the front end, but Alan is well. There's an Alan Potter who is the head of Tullahoma Utilities. One of my sleuthy field reporters gave me that information that he was named president in 2024. Apparently, now that could or could not be our Alan. We don't know.
We don't know.
But Alan did say that he worked for Tullahoma.
He did.
And there's an Alan that's the CEO of Tullahoma Utilities. And, okay.
Hey.
And listen, that probably informs his position more so. I mean, Alan, by the way, and if that is you, I'm not attacking publicly controlled monopolies.
I will.
Right. What I'm saying is that the people need to have more of a direct say in the hiring and firing of those individuals. And I don't understand. Alan, I hope you're listening. I don't understand what the board of NES does that cannot be done by the Metro Council. Why do we farm out that decision-making to people who clearly don't understand, like you do, Alan, utilities? They don't have any background in utilities. They don't have any information about any special knowledge. They don't have any. So I don't understand why we do that.
I'm sorry. I got distracted because Representative Burchett's daughter is a barrel racing world champion.
What?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, but she won a barrel racing world championship.
0210 says, stop beating up NES. People are innocent until proven guilty, Matt. Your CNN is coming out of you. What?
CNN.
What
I always knew it. You need to smile more, like Caitlin Collins, you know? Can you do that for me? Be good.
That's funny. 0210, that's funny. Thank you. Let's talk about the Trash Panda Act.
Yeah.
This is happening?
Yeah. Real legislation. I was just texting about it. I just tweeted out on the X machine at D. Cameron Smith the one-pager for the Trash Panda Act. But we have all things moving forward. We're trying to hammer out the details, get the legislative text drafted. Need to meet with TWRA because apparently you got to meet with the bureaucracy to try to stop the bureaucracy from regulating your ability to own a raccoon. Seems weird, but okay. And, I got a message that old Scott Sapicki is not going to support it.
What?
Yeah.
Well, Sapicki comes on tomorrow.
Well, you better ask him about it.
Well, it's the only thing we're going to talk about. It's the only thing I want to talk to him about.
So,
Sapicki, if you're listening, the only thing we're talking about is Trash Panda. We're going to figure out why you aren't supportive of freedom-minded people acting in a manner consistent with their beliefs and their liberties and their personal responsibility. Why? I mean, Sapicki, why don't you sponsor the act that's going to prevent, people from owning dogs? Because dogs bite people. That's a dangerous thing, man. Got to protect people from themselves, brother.
You got to get a pet registry now.
I didn't realize Sapicki was so liberal.
The state, this is one of the things that people, he's going to love that. The problem here in Tennessee is we have well-meaning bureaucracies. So everybody's conservative because it's Tennessee. Sorry, Nashville and Memphis. But everybody else is pretty conservative. But we have these bureaucracies at the state level that tell the legislature, the General Assembly, hey, here's what we think you can do and not do.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be the other way around of saying, why are we doing things that we don't need to do? So stop. And that's all the Trash Panda Act is designed to do. It was a little tongue-in-cheek, but the idea was, is there a good reason to require a license to own a raccoon? And the answer is no, because I looked at Arkansas statute, and they said you could catch 6 by hand, and you can own them. Okay, cool. So why do we need in Tennessee a different paradigm? Well, they could be rabbits. So can dogs. You got to vaccinate them if they're your pet.
Yep.
Sweet. That's easy. And what you realize is that you have bureaucrats whose job is to tell you what you can't do as a freedom-loving American, and that's literally what they spend their time doing.
And when you question those folks on something as simple as this, they get all cute and they laugh it off and they act like, oh, this is silly. No, it's not silly. The concept of living free is not silly. I mean, this is a good example of how some lawmakers, looking at you, Sapicki, pick and choose
Right.
when they truly believe in freedom versus when they think the state should act as your nanny and tell you what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed
Right, and
to
I'm
do.
telling the state, you got to justify why we have to ask you to catch a raccoon as a pet. Now, granted, that's dumb. You don't need to do that. But the point is, the state shouldn't step in and stop you without a dang good reason, and I haven't heard it. It's just, well, you disease. Well, yeah. So have you ever been out hunting before?
Yeah.
You ever cleaned a deer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Disease.
Right.
We don't know that deer doesn't carry some bad disease.
Maybe Sapicki's anti-hunting.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
we'll find out. I don't want to mischaracterize his position on the issue, but you've heard that he's against it?
Yeah, I got a text saying that he said he's not going to sign on.
Huh. That's interesting.
And it concerns me that the legislators we've talked to it is a simple proposition. You should be free to catch and have a raccoon as a pet if you want. It's not and I understand it seems silly, but the fact is the state of Tennessee is saying, no, we have reasons and rules and stuff that you got to follow.
They act, a lot of these lawmakers act so very small government until they're not.
Until they're not. Well, people could get hurt, you know?
Yeah, well, you know what? If I'm going to be left to my own devices, responsible for my own person, I might get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's not the state's job to prevent that.
And we can't fix stupid.
Right.
So if you want to go hand catch a raccoon, something's not good. Something not good is going to happen.
If I own a four-wheeler, I might get hurt. You know what I might also do? I might hurt someone else on that four-wheeler. Guess who's responsible for that? Me.
Amen.
What we shouldn't do is ban four-wheelers because of what might happen. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk. That's going to wind down our portion of the broadcast day. Cameron Smith, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Call your legislator and tell them you support the Trash Panda Act. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate you. We'll be back on a Thursday. Scott Sapicki is scheduled to be with us in the 4 o'clock hour tomorrow. We also have a few other special guests that we'll tell you about at some other time. Right now, it's time to say goodbye. For Jackson Williams and Ken Weaver, thank you for being with us. This is Matt Murphy speaking and saying, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.